At Heat Exchange Hearth and Patio Shop in North Ridgeville, including $200 off cantilever umbrellas, 109
Hello.
and 11-foot umbrellas, and 50% off list price for most
Hi.
furniture. Shop the Heat Exchange summer sale for a limited time and while supplies last. Heat Exchange, locally owned and operated.
Yep.
Thanks for shopping local.
Yeah, I'm all right.
On Lorraine,
Yes.
was I-480 Lorraine Road exit, just minutes west of the airport.
Oh, he's not in here, but yeah, outside of him, yeah, kind of doing everything else.
Know what else you can't escape? Seasonal allergies. And you might think you can avoid that
No comment.
till... Oh, really? You can't escape a lot of things in life, but you can escape prediabetes. Prediabetes captures 1 in 3 adults. There are usually no signs of prediabetes. In fact, most people don't even know they have it. But with early diagnosis, you can change the outcome and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Take action by taking the 1-minute risk test.
Sorry, Emmett just came in. He was telling me that my picture on Twitter last night looked like I had gotten weed instead of coffee from MGK.
But you can escape prediabetes. Go to doihaveprediabetes.org today. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Don't let biased algorithms or degree screens or exclusive professional networks or stereotypes, don't let anything
Coming in 30.
ever bring the half of the workforce who are stars. Workers skilled through alternative routes rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time to tear the paper ceiling and see the stars beyond it. Find out how you can make stars part of your talent strategy at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
Heyo, what's up?
ID playing now, so 10 seconds.
Listening
Sorry, I said 30, but I know you guys are.
radio station WKNR Cleveland.
I'll let this ride a little bit as they get settled.
All right, let's do it live on a First Friday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. I am merely Bo. He is the great Z. It is a picture-perfect day, or so it seems here in Northeast Ohio, and the two most highly anticipated days, dare I say, of all of training camp coming our way starting today, my friend.
Oh, baby. This is the Super Bowl of the offseason, and I've seen people on social media, the cardiac kid calling for extensive coverage. He's looking for Elliott Shore Parks level coverage of these joint practices today. I don't know if he's going to get it. I don't know if the people are up to the task, but that's this is obviously very exciting, very a big day here with the Vikings coming down. This is a day where, honestly, if the Browns don't appear to be the better team or physically more dominant, I'm going to be a little concerned, and that's knowing very well that we probably won't see at least four of our 11 starters on defense.
Yeah.
We won't see one for sure at a very important position on offense, or two, actually, if you count Nick Chubb. But, yeah, you need to dominate. And I also think today I was very pleased that some very good news was handed down today, and I actually just got to talk to JOK a minute ago.
That is very exciting.
Yeah.
That I will say before we go into that in detail,
Sure.
If you are watching us on YouTube, you are going to be in for a treat because Jordan working doggedly right now to get this set up. I see Connor with a K there, the debutante's there. So if you're watching on YouTube in the second hour of this program while the practice is going on, you're going to hear us talking, and then we will have images we get a two-camera split here, buddy. So we're going big time here.
This is good. I'm curious to see if that makes it to 2:15.
Well, here we sit.
I
guess maybe we shouldn't have said anything.
No. I think we'll be okay for the first half hour, 40 minutes.
Okay.
It's when you get into the team situation that we may all be asked to remove cameras.
Okay.
Fair enough.
But either way, this is exciting. So if you're
Very
on the
exciting.
YouTube, get that sorted out. Also very exciting, something
No
we had
pressure.
wanted done for a very, very long time. We had talked about it, and now it is done. JOK locked up. Let's go.
Yeah, 3 years, $39 million, 25 guaranteed. I'll be honest with you. My first reaction was this feels like a pretty darn good deal for the Cleveland Browns.
So, yeah.
It's always, listen, it's never a bad deal when somebody
$25
says
million.
here's $25 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
That's
You'll see
not a
every
bad
cent of
deal,
that.
but it seems to me, and Andrew Berry's been so good at this, of getting these things done early and doing it in a way that is beneficial to both the player and to the organization. And it feels to me like in some ways he has done that again here.
Feels like the Amari deal to me. It feels
Judy.
like Judy, Chief. There's been a lot of these where, if you are proactive and say, we want you here and we're willing to give you a big chunk guaranteed, let's see what we can work on here. Players are amenable to it. And the other thing about it is, and we'll hear from JOK in just a second. I know you talked to him, and he also, and this speaks to most of our guys, anybody who comes through the door recently, they want to be here.
Wants to be here. And I think is aware, as many people are, that there are a lot of puzzle pieces that have to be fit from a financial standpoint. I mean, I was just, while we were talking right there, I looked up Roquan Smith's deal. And I know that you can read, so I'm not going to ask you, do you know what his contract is? But
I haven't looked into it. I have not.
5 years, $100 million.
Okay.
Okay, so you compare that to 339. That's 150%
Yep.
of the yearly salary.
But Roquan's also came. So I feel like that you got the JOK deal done right on the ascent, whereas Roquan
Was totally established.
was established.
I mean-
and so I think JOK is established. You believe that. The people, PFF, those type of people that see it. But I feel like the word isn't all the way out with everybody because he should have been a Pro Bowler last year.
Well, he was.
But in the
Initial
run of
Yes.
it.
I think that was
he should have been
positional.
that, and yeah, probably was positional, but it should have been there right away.
Agreed.
And I think he's starting to finally get the respect. So in a way, the timing of all of this works very well for us and for him. And this is a second-round pick. So like Caleb Williams on Hard Knocks, signing bonus 25.5. JOK's a second-round pick. He's never had that.
No, I mean he's done well for himself.
For sure, but
obviously, but yeah,
not
this
that
is
hunk.
and this is. I remember draft night. I remember the night that we drafted him. I believe it was myself, Mo Pedman, and the Hoff.
Yeah.
And he came in and dropped the 3 pillars on us: smart, tough, and accountable to JOK. I'm like, this guy
ready.
gets it. And everybody, I mean, if you remember, going into it, it was kind of a consensus that he was going to be a top 15 pick. And then he falls into the second round kind of unexpectedly. As Paul DePodesta said, we run a billion scenarios, and not one scenario had us getting Greg Newsome and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, and that's exactly what they did.
No, he was one of those guys, too, that, we had talked about a lot in the pre-draft. He was one of those guys. There's been several of them. Him and Delpit are the two that come to mind, and Donovan Peoples-Jones, another guy we talked about a lot. But, like, him and Delpit were two guys who we looked at early as we were going through all the draft scenarios. And I miss that. It'll be fun to get that back. We have a first-round pick.
Oh, my God.
To be able to talk about those because we haven't been able to do that for the last few years. So
That'd be 3
next year
years.
we'll get that first-round pick back, and we'll be able to have a much better handle on the draft. But when you talk to the Dane Brugers of the world, you talk to the experts of the draft in the world, there were names that would come up. And he was one, Delpit was one. Obviously, Isaiah Simmons was one, and he has not had the career that you thought that he would have had. But those guys have, and they were guys who were just, when you watch them at the collegiate level, they were dudes, and it was just like, it feels like they'll be dudes here too. And then they are. When they have health, they're dudes. It's kind of that simple, and you got both of them.
You do, and they were very, very good picks. And you think now just of what Andrew Berry's been able to do without a first-round pick, and to say that you got, Delpit, you got JOK, you've got DeJuan Jones, you've got MJ Emerson. That's pretty good. And obviously Delpit predates.
Yeah.
But it's pretty darn good. Or does it? Is Delpit his first draft?
I think it was his first draft.
Because it was the same draft that we drafted Nick Harris, because we moved back a few spots, got Delpit, picked up the 5th that was Nick Harris. So that was 2020.
Yeah, it was 20.
Yeah, it
So
was
that
COVID.
was. So he's gotten Delpit's on a 3-year, $36 million extension. Now you've gotten JOK's on a 3-year, $39 million extension. MJ Emerson will 100% be on a contract extension probably at this time next year.
Yep.
DeJuan Jones, as long as he can stay, healthy, and man, he's going to be – that could be a monster contract that he gets. MJ's could be a monster contract as well. But that's the sign of doing things well, is when you're able to draft, develop, and then retain and reward guys that deserve it. And this was one that I thought was out there. We were going to see how that went. Now you brought in a Jerry Jeudy. You've got a lot of guys that are signed now through the next few years that you feel pretty good about that young core that you've got, and some have been acquired and others have been, as I said, drafted.
That's why I don't sweat the Siaki Ika slow start to the career or an Anthony Schwartz here and there, because the draft is a crapshoot.
Yes.
Right? It's an educated crapshoot, but you never know how someone is going to develop or what they're going to look like. If you're hitting as much as we're hitting, this is how you end up with the roster we have, which we believe is a top 5-6 roster in the NFL. It's because you've hit on all of the guys you just mentioned. You've hit on every one of them.
Well, even just look at the roster right now, okay? So guys that I'm talking about from this group that they've drafted. DeJuan Jones is a starting right tackle, 4th-round pick. Nick Harris, quality backup center, 5th-round pick. James Hudson, while we don't necessarily want to have him be our opening day left tackle at this juncture, has been a quality
Very
swing
valuable
tackle and extra offensive line when you go heavy, and is a nasty, nasty run blocker. And that was a 4th-round pick for you. Jerome Ford was a 5th-round pick of this organization and gave you 1,100 total yards and 9 touchdowns a year ago. DTR, a 5th-round pick of this organization who has contributed. David Bell, I was talking to Chad O'Shea. He couldn't be more effusive in his praise of David Bell. Now, that hasn't manifested itself in production, but he is somebody that he even said he makes us better even when he is not on the field in terms of what he does in the room and how he is. And so that's another consummate professional. And then you flip it around to the defensive side, Delpit, boom. Cam Mitchell was very good as a 5th-round pick again last year. Rocket Hickman undrafted. Mahmoud Diabate undrafted. DeAnthony Bell undrafted but brought in here. MJ Emerson, we talked about what a stud he's been. JOK, absolute stud. Tony Fields has been a quality role player as a 5th-round pick. Alex Wright, 3rd-rounder a couple years ago, breaks out 5 sacks for you. They like Isaiah McGuire. Isaiah Thomas, I think, is a quality player. So you're going and getting what I would call to be a lot of quality production. If you said that you were going to get the production that we've gotten out of our 3rd, 4th, 5th rounders, and there are misses in there. There are things that have not worked out, but the percentages which we have gotten value out of those rounds is significantly higher than the league average, and we've done it in a way where you really could say, man, we didn't miss any 1st-round picks because of what we were able to do with them.
Your 2nd-rounders feel like ones.
You've done a very good job. And then, people would say the 2nd-rounder a year ago, because remember 2 years ago we didn't, or not this draft, but the draft prior, we didn't even have a 2nd-round pick because we traded it to the Jets for Elijah Moore and the pick that became Cedric Tillman. So you got Cedric Tillman and Elijah Moore, in essence, for your 2 last year.
Yeah.
The year before, we also didn't have a 2. Because you traded out, and your first pick in that draft was MJ Emerson. So we haven't had a 1 or a 2.
So in that instance, your 3 feels like a 1.
Your 3 feels like a 1, and then the following year, your 4 feels like a 1, and then this year, we shall see.
Yeah.
But hopefully things will work out there.
So let's hear from JOK, and then I have one other kind of point on this. This was JOK earlier today meeting with the media on how it feels to get the deal done.
Man, it feels good. It feels like I'm loved, right? It feels like that I have an opportunity to respond to a lot of the different things that's going on in my life and a lot of the different things that have been going on. And it feels good to be locked into a place and have the place also respect you and give you honor as well. So,
JOK was asked, did he get the call this morning when he found out that the deal was done? Here's what he had to say.
I don't think I had a call this morning, but nevertheless. Nevertheless, when I walked in the building, it was a good feeling just to knowing that, stability, security, and, those things are the biggest 2 things for, a young player that, looks to do not only things on the field, but also things off the field. Stability is something that's very key for guys like me that want to get involved in the community, wanting to take, that responsibility to help and solve problems. So, I'm very glad for the opportunity and wish to honor that opportunity that I've been given.
So I wanted to bring this point to the attention of Browns fans. When the Browns are in the negotiation of a contract with a player that they have drafted or any sort of a second contract for a player who is here, you don't hear anything. It's done quietly. It's done professionally. All of a sudden there's a deal out of the clear blue sky. Conversely, for example, happening right now down 71 South in Cincinnati, out of nowhere yesterday, Jamar Chase just doesn't show up for camp.
Yeah, I'm not doing it anymore.
I'm good. I'm not doing it.
The hold-in is over.
He's been in a hold-in up until this point, and then Tuesday he said, I'm good.
Hold out.
I'll see you on down the line, which forced Zach Taylor to come over and say he's day-to-day with the contract situation. Now, this is coming in response to when Mike Brown served his turtle soup a couple of weeks ago saying the die is cast on Jamar Chase. We're not doing the contract now. Now, it's coming a year after Justin Jefferson, who we'll see out here. His deal was done in the offseason, not in the season leading up to it. Remember, Chase is a year behind Jefferson. Chase wants to reset the market. It's $110 guaranteed that Jefferson got. It's $35 million a year is the average. Like, it's not – A.J. Brown's second on that list with $32 million a year. So Jefferson really set a high bar. I don't know – I'm sure Chase wants to usurp it, but who's to say? I know the Bengals don't. So just be appreciative that – when our deals are to be negotiated, they're done quietly, professionally, and then they're announced. They're not playing out in public, buddy.
Oh, no. And you're exactly right about that, and I think that is a very, very critically important thing, and the way that they handle their business. Remember, when we heard that there was Amari situation, that was done. They got that done immediately.
Yeah,
you're ready to go for training.
Millisecond.
So, yeah, that I love the way that they handle these types of things. I do want to point out, you're talking about, kind of Jamar Chase and the receivers, and we went through and looked at things yesterday. So I actually did come across the stat. I was fascinated by Brandon Ayuk's yards
tell the
per
people,
target.
explain that, where we were on that.
So we were looking at Brandon Ayuk's season last year, and in that season, he averaged, I want to say we said
12.3, I think, was the number. Is that what it was?
I'm going to pull it up right now. And yards per target. So that's,
yards per target.
That's when they throw the ball in his direction, whether it's caught or not, they average gain. He was 12.8. So going back to when they first started charting targets, which I think is there have been over 1,000 wide receivers that have had 100 targets in a season. He is number one in yards per target, the only one even north of like 12 at all, and so he's at 12.8.
For context, we stumbled upon this. You've used this before, but we stumbled upon the comparable, trying to find people comparable, and we did Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, Terrell. I mean, we did everybody.
Jerry might have gotten close to 1 year, but they didn't have the targets.
Stat. I thought Randy had a chance. He never was over 12.
No, he's over 11 once. Like Andre Johnson to Julio Jones is the Justin Jefferson's been over 11. I think once. I think Jamar Chase's rookie season he may have been at 11. Yeah, he was 11.4. Now, his last two seasons are 7.8 and 8.4.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a great position to be negotiating from.
It's not. And also, the other thing,
well below Jerry Jeudy's career average. And Jerry Jeudy averaged 8.7 yards target for his career.
It's also the reality of one of those seasons you didn't have Burrow for half of it.
Fair, but last year.
That's part of it.
Last year and for most of it. I also think there's been a change in how he's been used, which I would not necessarily say is the player's fault. But he averaged 18 yards a catch the first year, 12 and 12.2 the last two.
Yeah.
So he had 145 targets last year.
That's a lot of targets. They fed him.
They fed him the ball, but
Higgins was hurt a little bit too last year. So they had a lot going on, a lot of injury stuff. But yeah, it's
well, just like compare because we're just looking at this real quick. So, for example, the average depth of target for Brandon Ayuk last year, career high, obviously, was 13.8 yards, which is insane.
Yeah.
But I'm going to pull up Jamar Chase. My guess is his rookie year it was over 10, and the last few years it's been significantly under 10. Just kind of that's anecdotally. Yeah. So for rookie year is 12.6 average depth of target. That's how many yards down the field for every average passer on his way. Last year 8.4.
Yeah.
That's a big. That's
big. That's a change offensively.
That is a massive difference.
So did you find somebody?
No, he's number one.
Was there anybody in the vicinity?
No.
Nobody's in
not
the
even with
vicinity.
a half a yard.
Yeah, isn't that wild?
Not one in the history of the National Football League.
Since they've been doing this stat,
which was like 90s.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
Stunning.
Yeah. I've seen people say, well, why would they pursue him? And I think when you understand we're probably long past the possibility of that happening at this point, but you never say never.
Sure.
But it's that stat. It's what he did on the 30 most targets in the league.
Yes.
30th most targets in the league. And he put up that type of year with that type of production. And that type of yards per attempt is – I didn't know that it would be – I didn't think there'd be anyone who – I figured there was somebody in the vicinity or someone who matched it. It felt like Randy or Terrell Owens or somebody would have had a year like that where they could match that yards per attempt. But it just didn't happen. That's a lot of home run hits on that side of things.
By the way, the latest on Ayuk is that people are saying that now he's not going anywhere. The Niners aren't really that into the Steelers' offer. I think people are forgetting in all this, he still is under contract.
He's under contract.
So he has to play.
I read something this morning about him, and they didn't want him to leave, but also did not want to pay the price that he wanted.
Correct.
He did not want to leave and probably wanted too much. So the reality is they both want to be together, and they probably should have just approached this in a different way, and maybe they thread the needle, and he takes a little bit of a team discount. And by the way, like, the cap is real. The cap is 100%. It is real. There are ways to circumvent for a while, but you're just kicking a can down the road, and eventually you have to pay for it. We're going to be we got things we got to sort out in the next 3 to 4 years on that front. The Bengals are dealing with it the last couple of years.
Yep.
But I do think there is something to. They used to call like Brady taking the hometown discount, right? Well, that's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is when I take a little bit less, then that money can be spread to others and it'll lift. And I know that's an ownership.
Correct.
Ownership likes saying that, but there's truth in it.
Yep.
That the rest of the roster can benefit if you take a little bit less. We can make these other things work. Which, to bring it back to the Bengals' perspective, I was a little surprised that Burrow did the deal he did, because I thought that when he did that deal, his whole objective was, I need Higgins and Chase too, and they're not going to have one of them for sure. And now they're dealing with the Jamar thing.
I think it's nice to say that when you do the deal, but then sometimes the deal itself precludes that from happening. We said that.
But he didn't need to do that.
That's why I'm saying.
There's all this pressure to reset the market every time a guy does it.
Yeah, but
it does not help you in the long term.
When was Tom Brady? Was Tom Brady at any point in his career ever the number one pick quarterback?
Maybe at the very end in New England or
in Tampa? But certainly not New England. He was middle of the pack.
Oh, during his prime in New England, yeah. He would consistently take less.
Yes.
And that's, the Mannings always got the most.
Right.
Was kind of the deal. But yeah, he would oftentimes take less to make sure other guys could get compensated.
Yep.
And that, look, it benefits. The depth of talent certainly proves that out. The Vikings are here. We will do a little bit of joint practices coming up here shortly. Hello, Gibby.
The team should be arriving in the next 5 minutes, the players themselves. Everybody else getting in position. The leaders from both teams will meet at 2 o'clock. 2:10, a little walkthrough for special teams, and at 2:20, away we go. That is the official time.
That is an incredible calendar read out of you.
There you go.
Everything you need was just give it Gibby at the ready.
Great job, Gibby.
Total rundown of everything you can expect over the course of the next hour. Absolutely crushed it on that side of things. Very, very strong job out of you. Yeah.
By the way, AB has issued a quote about Jeremiah Usu-Kormo that I think you might find interesting.
So I think it'll be funny when you read it while I'm looking at him talking to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN while you're reading it. So go ahead.
When we drafted Jeremiah in 2021, we thought he was a unique player who embodied the skill sets needed to defend at linebacker in the modern-day NFL. 3 years later, he has shown himself to be among the best at his position. He's a player that lives behind the line of scrimmage because he's a heat-seeking missile with rare shape-shifting movement skills that would make Neo, Trinity, and Morpheus blush. Jeremiah, I feel like this is really from our Jeremiah has overcome personal tragedy and has served his communities both domestically and abroad while maintaining an infectious energy in everything he does. We are proud that he will represent our organization for years to come. Neo, Trinity, and Morpheus. Now,
for the kids
out there, I was in college still.
Yeah, that's a deep cut now, I think. I don't know that my kids have talked about The Matrix at all or anybody talking about. So I mean, that is
in fact.
I'm going to tell you now, go see the movie if you have not watched it. Do you know what he's talking about?
I've
you
only
know what he's talking about?
Yeah,
All right,
I've
Joey.
only seen one. I saw the first one. I didn't see the other two.
I think there's like 4.
Yeah, they made a bunch of them. The first one was kind of a shocking hit. But in terms of it being timeless, I have not heard it come up or referenced in a long time.
No, and I remember when I was, always trying to. It's amazing the kids today what they think a 56-inch TV costs.
Oh yeah,
compared to what it cost in the heyday of wanting to get something that was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And that was the movie I would always like when I got the TV. That was the first thing I watched.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a look to it that was on another level, certainly.
Oh, no.
By the way, one other note for you.
Also, heat-sinking missile. I think he took that right from us.
I think so.
That's how we've described him many times.
Shape-shifting movement skills that would make Neo, Trinity, and Morpheus blush. We need AB over here.
I need him
right now.
And this is probably the most confident I've ever been that he absolutely wrote that.
100%.
Yeah.
That's not
from our PR.
thrown out.
No.
Like, hey, what do you think about including?
No. He
Neo,
wrote that.
Trinity, and Morpheus.
So,
I mean, it's unbelievable.
Knock on wood, if everything comes to fruition, because I've rattled cages from both teams.
Oh no.
I believe the GM of the Browns and the Vikings will join us live tomorrow.
He's requested it. He's called a GM roundtable.
I hate to even say that out loud for how great it would be.
You can ask him.
We've interviewed Kwesi as the general manager of the Minnesota Vikings on this program. We interviewed. I told the guy today in the interview Gibbe signed me up for with the Vikings pod. I said, I don't know if you know this or not, but
just so you know, the very first interview he did as a general manager of the National Football League was with us. That's how that went. That would be fun. And I'm going to tell you what.
Ask him about the car.
Off the air.
Oh, my God. 100%. I didn't even think about that.
Of course I'm going to ask him about the car.
Oh,
How
my
could you
God.
not? There are questions that need answering.
Yeah. I think it would be fun to just let them talk.
I hear the sirens.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You guys, why don't you guys talk? We'll just let us.
Yeah. Well, you can just jump it, just kind of direct if it needed, but just let them live, I think is the way you handle that.
Yeah.
God almighty, look at him. What a gorgeous.
Look at Mopedman.
Gorgeous.
Sunscreen.
Look at the focus.
Sunscreen. How about a hat? Sunscreen.
Sunny hat.
Something. Anything.
You look great. No.
By the way, when it's warm
you're on
out,
camera there too.
A black shirt's a good idea. You really want to absorb that sunlight.
You got to have a breathable fabric.
It looks like a modern fabric.
We have a preview show tonight at 7. I need you to make it to 8 o'clock.
I don't know if it's true, but
right
from
now.
here it looks like Ken and Fowler are wearing the same shirt. There's a certain pattern that looks.
There's a chance.
It's the same. Not the same.
Not at all.
No.
All right. We will preview this joint practice between the Vikings and the Browns at great length coming up next. Those are your hot topics today, presented by University Hospitals, official healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Extra game day this season with Ballybet Sportsbook. Place your bet, $50 or more. You get $100 and $50 back in bonus bets. Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. And as we peer out to the east, my friend, we see the Purple People Eaters have arrived.
Oh, yes. Yes.
There
you see
they
a lot
are.
of people talking, and there's a
Milling about.
There's a three-man welcoming crew over there from the Cleveland Browns of Jordan Hicks, who played for the Vikings last year and in 22. Dalvin Tomlinson, who played for the Vikings in 22. Zadarius Smith, who played for the Vikings in 22. So you have those guys kind of all over there. I see Dalvin in the mix saying what's up. There's a lot of hugging and dapping up going on over there. It looks to be jovial. And then from a Cleveland Browns
like
standpoint,
Denzel Ward over there as well.
Denzel's over there.
Part of the welcoming committee. Joel Bitonio.
So from a Browns,
Joel Bitonio right now looks like this is what he looks like to me over there. I see him like pointing things out, barrel-chested. But he strikes me as like a guy who, hey, guess I just did a little outdoor project, little outdoor deck remodel.
Oh yeah. I built
and
a
he's
tree
showing
house for the
people.
dogs.
He's pointing to the new facilities we have here at the Cross Country Mortgage Campus, and just kind of pointing some things out. Aren't you proud about what I've done? That's what it feels like to me. That's kind of the vibe
I think that'd be apropos.
He's the
I
ambassador.
Like
he is. He's an ambassador.
Maybe those are the team leaders over there. The team leaders.
Oh,
Miles.
I like it.
Bitonio.
Do we see 95? Is he over there?
Yeah, Miles is over there. He's got his shirt off.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He's over there talking to somebody. But some familiar faces, obviously.
How about Miles goes over for the leadership meeting shirtless?
Well, why
like
not?
Just
check me out. Chief, I think Chief's
just
over there.
So you know.
My guess is he'd be shirtless as well.
Oh, he would be shirtless. He'd also there'd be an inseam on those shorts about 2 inches.
Not long.
He likes a 2-inch inseam in those shorts, I've noticed, out of the Chief lately.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you want a 7 or 9? Meh.
I really like that around 2.5 inches.
It feels a little bit.
Give me
longer.
one of those.
Oh, there's Mike Pettin, former head coach of the Cleveland Browns, who was actually the first head coach of Joel Bitonio's career in 2014. So you've got Pett is here on this staff.
I didn't realize that.
So
Kevin O'Connell.
So think about this: 2014 for the Browns. Your tight end coach was Brian Angelico. Mm-hmm. He is now the tight end coach of the Minnesota Vikings. You had on that staff as well, Kevin O'Connell was, I think, with the quarterbacks.
We had a night with Angelico
in Buffalo.
Whew. Spent a month one night with Mike Angelico in Buffalo.
So Angelico's on this staff. Josh McCown was our quarterback in 2015 under Pettin. He's on this staff. You think about Pettin's staff on the defensive side of the ball. Your D-line coach was Anthony Weaver. Anthony Weaver is now the defense coordinator of the Miami Dolphins. Your secondary coaches, there were 2 of them. Your secondary coaches were Aaron Glenn, now defensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions, and Jeff Hafley, now defensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers.
Wow.
On offense, you had Kyle Shanahan.
Where's he now?
He's the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers.
Right. That's right.
You had Mike McDaniel, who was the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. You had little Mikey LaFleur, who was the offensive coordinator of the Rams.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
a staff.
A heck of a staff. And now I know that the offensive guys are, predominantly on the Kyle tree, but Pettin's defensive staff, it was incredible.
What do you make of Mike McDaniel's commitment to wearing off-white joggers and vests and zip-ups at all times? Have you noticed this?
The brand?
Color off-white.
Or the color
off-white.
Yeah, he likes
He's in a chalk.
or a tan, a light
very,
tan.
very light tan.
A bone.
A bone, if you will.
Yeah.
He has a commitment to that colorway.
He loves it.
That I have not seen. And he will wear a jogger in any circumstance.
Yeah, God bless him.
He will rock a jogger in any circumstance.
I love a jogger.
Yeah. Yeah, he's into it. No, it's an incredible staff that was out there, and this is some real work we're gonna get to see.
This is gonna be fun. And then from a familiar face standpoint, I've gone through it a couple times. I've only seen 3. I haven't seen our. Do we have our release lying around?
I didn't think you needed it.
Always need it, baby. Not now. Right now. I was just saying because that's where you.
Are you looking for the roster?
No. I have the roster right here. I was looking for they do the connections and whatever. I'm just going off what my eyes quickly see.
Yeah,
Nick Mullins, obviously, was
Love
with
Nick
us. And then on the defensive side of the ball, Jordan Kunashik just signed.
Oh, we loved him.
And I was told he actually stayed in Cleveland, even though wasn't sure what his career was going to be. Was living in Cleveland, so it was a very easy signing to get him ready. And then A.J. Green, who may have had one of the most viral highlights of all of training camp for any team in the National Football League, where he basically completely bodied a guy up at the line, ran the route for him, and then made a one-handed, left-handed interception and ran it back. It was rather impressive.
Yeah,
so
he was good anytime he played here. He was good. You just you only have so many great corners. Like, you can't keep everybody. So that's the way that works. All right, 3 players that need to have a day the next couple, or that you hope have a day the next couple.
Before I answer that, I'm going to say, as I watch some of the Vikings come out, their practice uniforms look like bad creative uniforms on Madden.
So I think what it is I think the pants are their old game pants.
But that jersey has no striping, no nothing.
And it's I mean, ours doesn't either, to be fair.
But it looks closer to our original.
But I think it looks closer to our original.
Yeah.
It also feels a little bit like the purple is lighter.
It's lighter than the pant stripe, for sure.
For sure. And it looks like I wonder if that's just a laundering issue.
I don't know.
I do love their helmet.
It's a great helmet.
I love their helmets.
Great helmet. Yeah. I like the old school, like almost like black purple helmets.
I know you do, with the lighter yellow purple. Yeah. It's certainly there's a great bit of nostalgia to that, but I do think they figured out a nice way to pay homage to an original look while modernizing it, which is they did a very good job with it. Yeah.
No, I like their uniform palette, generally speaking.
I like anytime the helmet looks like what it is. So that is a Viking horn on the side, and that's exactly where horns would be on a Viking helmet. The Rams are like this as well, where the horns are where they're supposed to be. I'm a fan of all of those.
Same.
All the teams like that. Eagles with the wings.
Wings.
I like that.
Although the wings wouldn't necessarily be coming off their heads.
They wouldn't, but they're onto the side at least, so there's some of it. It kind of looks that way.
Okay.
I like those.
like that.
I like all of those ones.
All right.
Go ahead.
You actually asked me an important football question. 3 players that I'm looking for and want to see how they do today. I'll start with Deshaun Watson. I mean,
can he be 1, 2, 3?
He is.
Yeah.
And I'll even add into that to see. This is really going to be, I think, the second time all offseason we've seen Jerry, Elijah, and Amari all full go together. I think it's only the second time. We had that
one Sunday when you guys first got back from the Greenbrier, and I think that was it.
And I think that's
because I haven't seen it since we've been here. I haven't seen it.
So I'm very excited to see that. I think that will be good. I'm looking forward to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison against Denzel and MJ Emerson. That seems like a lot of fun.
If you did in the old days, like a main event fight card, that's the main event.
That's the main event.
Is that those receivers are corners?
Yeah, that's the main event.
Speaking of fighting, will not be tolerated by this organization. The entire team was warned. There will be penalties, and it will be in the form of playing on Saturday or not playing on Saturday.
So Jared Mayo did
the same thing,
and I think it comes from McVay. I think it's originally McVay. So his rule is if a veteran fights in practice, you have to play the entire preseason game.
Yep.
If a non-starter starts in practice, you don't get to play.
Yep.
So that's the thing. Jared Mayo mentioned that in his press conference earlier this week in New England, and I was digging in on it, and I think it's a McVay thing. I think Sean kind of came out of his head like let's do this to incentivize doing the right things. Meantime, you have Detroit and the Giants who are like, why don't we just give them some brass knuckles and
let's just brawl.
Let them have at it.
Yeah.
All right, you had one more. 4 receivers.
It's got to be our offensive line. I mean, it's got to be. Our offensive line's ability to hold up is very important because that allows Deshaun and it allows the receivers to have the success that they want. And so obviously whether it's just James Hudson, where it's Hudson, Ifedi, and Adeniji, that left tackle position has got to be shorn up because I think these are very important days for Deshaun Watson and his confidence in terms of, okay, yeah, I did it last time against Baltimore, but I need to see myself do it, leading into this season and feeling good about it. And I think these are very important days for that. And the one thing that can burst those pipes is pressure. And so I think that is a critically important thing here today that I'm definitely looking forward to. The reality of it is and you know, Chris and I talked about this during the broadcast, and we'll obviously expand on it more as we go along the next two. But there aren't a lot of roles up for grabs.
No, we've talked about that. Remember we did that in the summer. Like,
of course,
how many
there's not a lot, and some things I think have kind of already started to separate themselves. And there will obviously there are going to be very difficult decisions that have to be made. But yeah, there's not a whole lot where you're looking at, you know, from that standpoint. And the truth is, even with this left tackle thing, it's kind of a holding place, a placeholder. But at the same time, this is going to be the most valuable work that Deshaun gets probably the entirety of this offseason. And so you want it to be, for his standpoint, good work and confidence-building work. And so that's really what I'm focused on with him. And then I'm also curious. I want to see Deontay Foreman. We have not really gotten to see him since the Greenbrier and that neck injury. Yeah. And so I'd like to see him because I really do think that he's going to be a big part of what we do on the ground prior to the return of Nicholas Jamal Chubb.
I think what it's in regard to Deshaun, it's the you've heard the phrase, you just need to see it go through the net.
Yep.
For a shooter.
Yep.
Like you just need to see a couple go through. And it's one thing, or you need to see a putt.
Sometimes they're like,
drop.
hey, get to the line. Just see the ball go
just
through.
See it go through.
Yeah.
People don't, anytime the boys are, it's not really falling. Go shoot free throws. Go shoot some free throws. You'll get it locked back in a second. That's the way that usually works. And Deshaun, because you're going to get this preseason game against Seattle at, 10 o'clock or whatever, which is going to be the highest rated 10 o'clock event in the history of Cleveland.
Yep.
So you're going to get that at the end here in a week from Sunday. But this is the biggest work that he's going to get in terms of the most time, the most snaps against opposition, right? Like part of the frustration, I think, is, you mentioned the Hudson situation, is, hell, a lot of times it's Miles coming around. And it's like, can we just operate for a second? So the Vikings are good, but they do not have Myles Garrett. So what does it look like when you're not playing our defense? What does it look like when you're playing an average NFL defense as opposed to one of the best in the league? So he needs to see the ball go through the net a few times, and he needs to make some throws. And this is all part of building him up to be the guy that he was against Baltimore and the guy we hope he is in Dallas.
Yes.
All right, when medical mistakes cause you injury, call the medical malpractice attorneys at 1-800-ELK, Ohio. Elk & Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. We'll go around the sports world. Coming up next, listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Attention homeowners, you're looking for a stimulus package to upgrade your home's exterior. Look no further than Renew Home Exteriors. Whether you need new siding, roofing, or stonework, the team at Renew Home Exteriors has you covered. And here's the best part. For the month of August, get a 10% rebate on your project or enjoy 0% interest for 5 years. You say goodbye to those high interest payments when you choose Renew. Renew will even let you see how your home will look before the upgrade with a 3D model rendering. So upgrade today and save big. You'll be glad you did. Visit renewestimate.com to book a free estimate. The Minnesota Vikings in town. They're on the field. They will commence practice here with your Cleveland Browns momentarily in joint practices. Two of the more important days in all of camp. And we have some breaking news as far as the Vikings are concerned from Diana Rossini of The Athletic, reporting that J.J. McCarthy is done for the year with knee surgery on that meniscus.
We had Tom Pelissero saying that he will miss the entire season after having his torn meniscus repaired today by Dr. Chris Larson at Twin Cities Orthopedics. Disappointing end to year one, but repair gives McCarthy the best chance at a long career. That is a huge blow and a shocking blow for the Minnesota Vikings, who now, you think that's their first-round pick, so they basically don't have a first-round pick this year. They've had tragedy befall their draft. I mean, it has been, for poor Kwesi, just one thing after another with his draft picks.
The JJ thing is interesting because it went on Monday. The notion was like, oh, he banged up his knee in the preseason game. To now he's going to do it was a repair of it, and then he was going to miss maybe some time, and now done. And I kind of had a hunch when I heard, the two options. Like with a young player, you always take the one that helps in the long term.
Of course.
And they're in the long-term business right now. So it'll be Sam Darnold this year.
It is Sam Darnold's team.
It is his team. So he will get probably the best chance since he was a Jet to be the dude. I guess he got a decent chance in Carolina too, but that's such a dysfunctional operation. Like, this organization's pretty clean. The play calling's going to be excellent.
Yep.
The talent that he is throwing to is the best he's ever thrown to. So if ever there was a chance for Sam Darnold to live up to what he was drafted, this would be the time.
Agreed. And, they also, I think there's some outstanding issues with Jordan Addison in terms of his availability as the season progresses.
I forgot about that, yeah.
You got Justin Jefferson. T.J. Hawkinson, they're not sure when he will be back. I saw a report from 2 days ago from Yahoo. An ESPN report suggests T.J. Hawkinson may be out until early November. So this is very much a team in what I would call a transitionary period from the, Kirk Cousins loaded kind of veteran defense days, a defense that 2 years ago would have had Za'Darius, Dalvin Tomlinson, and Danielle Hunter on it now they have none of those guys. And they went out and they got Jonathan Grenard, who had a big season for Houston last year and certainly cashed in on that. But this is the questions at quarterback. It's a very different team. And that's why, quite frankly, this is a team that the Cleveland Browns over the next 2 days should look like the more dominant team. I mean, I think if this was a game being played in Cleveland, our starters against them were probably touchdown favorites.
Yeah, at least 7.5. Yeah, you do guess the lines, it'd be 7.5.
Yeah,
as they're currently constructed. That's my guess. So some huge news there.
Part of the first round draft picks. It's such an exciting time for the team, for the player, and J.J. McCarthy. The future for sure, but you've really kind of got a sense, right, that the future would be at some point this year that he was going to be playing quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. Yeah, in the preseason opener, threw a couple of touchdowns, right?
Yeah, he looked very good. He was the reporting was he looked really good all through the preseason.
Of course he did. He's a gamer.
All
he's done is won at the highest level ever. He has a chance to be, if he can win a Super Bowl, to be in Irv.
Now, does he have a state championship in high school?
Yeah.
J.J. McCarthy does?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So he's got one of those.
Yeah.
Was he an Illinois kid?
Oh, I'm looking it up right now.
I think he's a Midwest kid, J.J. Either Indiana or Illinois. I feel like he's from that part of the country. But, yeah, his career at Michigan is pretty storied.
He led Nazareth Academy just outside of Chicago to 3 state title games.
Oh, but we don't know if he won them.
He won in 2018
when
he was a sophomore.
He's an every level guy.
He has a chance to be on every dominant winner. So only lost one game in the 2022 college football playoff semifinal to TCU while leading Michigan's offense. Went 27-1 as a starter, 15-0 last season. He won at that level in high school. 3 state title games they won in 2018 when he was a sophomore. Went 8-0 leading IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida, where McCarthy transferred to play in 2020. So All he does is win.
That's all he does is win. You know, he likes to win. There are some people that wear the same shirt every day. Some people like to do that.
Well, when you have
I'm not wrong.
procured what
I think it's number 5 in 3 weeks.
if you procured what can only
But who's
be
counting?
called a timeless classic.
It is. Yeah, certainly is.
It harkens back to a glory era.
It does, yeah. Here's Deshaun coming over. A little meet and greet here. Who's 58 in purple? Who's 58?
Oh, here, I have rosters for you all. There you
50
go.
A
Here you go.
58 in purple.
Jonathan
Jonathan
Grenard. So
Grenard.
would have
There
been
you
with
go.
him with the Houston Texans, former teammates
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of
And he
that.
signed a big deal this offseason, Jonathan Grenard.
Yeah. This is fun. It's you can tell the guys have a little pep in the step on this. They know that there's really good work to be done, but also some competitive juices going to be flowing a little bit in this
4
one.
years, 76 for Jonathan Grenard.
Congratulations on all your successes.
No wonder he's got a smile.
19 a year.
Yeah.
16.5 signing bonus, 38 million guaranteed.
Yeah. That's pretty good. Did you watch Hard Knocks last night?
So Max,
By the way, you're watching it live right now.
Yeah.
Thanks to Jordan.
Yeah, he's doing
As
it.
we're
Do we have
talking
it up?
about it. Yeah.
We told the folks. I told
It's
the
already
folks
up.
off the
We're
top.
rolling.
If you're on the YouTube, you're going to win because you're going to get. There's nobody else that's out here.
No,
it's us,
it's
Stan.
us.
So you're going to. This
You're
is the only
welcome.
place where you're going to be able to get a look at what's
it's the
going
show
on out
of
here.
record.
That is the show of record. Whether some
So
people
no.
ever accept that or not.
I'm so bummed. I wanted to watch it last night, and Max didn't upload it on their app.
So it's fine for me. I've heard that. My plan is to watch the next day because it airs at 10, and the boys really like it, so I'll watch it with them tonight.
It really should be a niner.
It's for sure should be a 9er. The idea that like Thrones or House of D was a 9 o'clock and this thing goes at 10 is silly to me.
Preposterous
it
is the word that
It
popped
is.
into my mind.
But I was excited to see kind of the reaction to Caleb and all of that because you're going to have his debut, which was pretty sterling. You see that rollout pass he hit on the sideline?
Oh, man. Oh, baby, did I.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of Mahomes to his game.
There's some unorthodox in the way that the ball is delivered, but it comes with a certain amount of pace and not always with the best attitude. It's coming in hot, baby.
It's coming in. I think I've been
What
like
happened to you?
Esteban. I've been eating something.
Eaten?
Just
Excuse me?
Eaten whole.
Chewed.
Chewed.
No, swallowed whole. I don't know. Something definitely just bit or stung me on my back, and I'm already getting a nice welt. So we're under
That's
attack.
not great. We're under attack from behind.
We are under siege.
I don't like to see that at all. We don't need that type of situation in any way, shape, or form.
Whatever
the two
it
teams
was
are
is
out
formidable.
Here. All right, so just to give you a rundown of what you're going to get here on the program. We at around 2:30ish. We'll have some one-on-one stuff that we're going to be able to describe and paint the pictures of. But this thing's getting close now. The teams are starting to spin it around a little bit. The Vikings are stretching in front of us. And away we go on what should be a very fun day out here in Berea. Coming up next, Chad O'Shea, a conversation for the ages.
It is a very good conversation.
That's why I said a conversation for the ages.
I'm agreeing.
Yeah.
I'm putting some emphasis on it.
Yeah, no, it is. That's as strong of an endorsement as I can give.
Well, at least you didn't raise your hand to contribute today.
It was a good line out of him yesterday. You got to give him credit.
What, Gold Star?
The Gold Star was very funny.
That was
I liked
good.
it. I liked it. It was a good line. That's coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
Campus in Berea, Ohio. Here again are Bo Bishop and Nathan Zagura.
Welcome back to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, a sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio. And what a treat. We are very happy to be joined by a great friend of the program, Browns wide receivers coach Chad O'Shea. And Coach, it's great to see you, man. How you doing?
Yeah, great to be here. It's an exciting time for us. You know, we have the Vikings coming to town, and I know our team, our coaches, we're so excited to get to the field today and, you know, compete versus somebody else besides the Cleveland Browns. So great opportunity for our, not only our young players, but our veteran players, you know, that we're looking to get reps and get timing and just looking forward to today.
Yeah, and it's an opportunity, really one of the first, I would say, of this offseason to actually have Amari and Jerry and Elijah out there together and kind of seeing what that looks like. How valuable is that timing and, like as you said, getting looks against defenses that maybe you have not seen every single day, either at the Greenbrier or here at the Cross Country Mortgage campus?
Most important time of the year is right now. If we can get those guys in the huddle together, you know, and working together and making progress that way, but nothing more important than getting on the field versus, again, competition that's a little bit different than you've seen, different schemes, different players. So great opportunity for all of our team to really improve.
Is there better work than a group of wide receivers can get than going against the Browns corners?
You know, our corners, to work against the Browns corners every day, it's awesome. You know, what a great opportunity we have. I'm so impressed with not only their skill level, but how they work. I mean, this group is a hard-working unit. They're so well coached. I have such a respect for the guys coaching them. And, you know, I know our guys are really grateful for the opportunity to be able to face that group, because it's as challenging of a group as you're going to see in the league, and they work so well together. And, you know, I can't say enough about those guys.
And your room works. And how, as a coach, how nice is it to have the star in your room, Amari Cooper, 5-time Pro Bowler, 7,000-yard seasons under his belt, be kind of the exact role model I'm sure a coach would want to have in that room?
Yeah, I mean, what a role model he is. It's just like he leads by example. We all know he's not the guy that's going to talk the most, but he does the most. You know, he's a great professional.
Yeah.
He is a great example to not only our young players, but our veteran players as well. You know, I think that those guys can still continue to learn and see him work and be a professional. So, you know, we're very grateful to have Amari here. He does so much for our team other than what you see on the field.
So Jerry Jeudy, when I got a chance to talk with him, and I think it's pretty well known, but obviously was a big Amari fan growing up, goes to Alabama, follows him there, and now they get to be in the same locker room. And he told me a story that he used to have a cell phone that didn't even have cell service, but he would take it to the McDonald's and go in there, get on their Wi-Fi and watch Amari on YouTube highlights of Amari Cooper. Have you noticed kind of a cool relationship between two guys, Biletnikoff Award winners, first-round picks, at South Florida to Alabama, and now in the same locker room?
I've seen it right away. You know, to see those guys and the relationship that they have. I'll also say we have a real good dynamic amongst the receiver groups in general. You know, to see Amari work well with Elijah and Cedric coming along with those guys, and they really have such a good relationship, and they're pulling for each other. You know, we don't have I'm going to say this, we have team guys. There's no one that's selfish in that room. So
that's hard. That's rare.
It is hard at a position that, you know, you're being judged on how many catches and targets you have and those things. But they embrace the team concept, and it's really cool to see those guys, you know, work together and have a close relationship and still be competitive. You know, they're all of them are highly competitive, and you know, not saying that they don't want the ball. They do want the football, but they also know that there's a lot of guys on this team that can help us win, and they respect that.
All right, let's go through what I think is a very deep and talented room, and I'm glad I'm not Andrew Berry because I think some tough decisions are going to have to be made with the 53. But we all know Amari and the standard of excellence he sets. What does Jerry Jeudy from a skill set perspective bring that you're excited about?
Yeah, excited about his versatility. You probably heard that a lot with him. A player that can play both inside and outside. Very extensive route tree, similar to Amari, that we can do a lot with him from a route running perspective. Has excelled versus man coverage and tight coverage, so that usually comes up in the critical times in the game, on third down and in the red zone, in a gotta-have-it situation. So, you know, that's where he's been his very best, and obviously he needs to continue to play very well in that role. But his skill set, being versatile, allows the other players to be versatile. You know, Amari's a versatile player that can do a lot of things across the formation, and we've tried to build our roster at the receiver position that way, with guys that have the mental flex to move around. So you have to have strong mental, and you have to come in here and know the game of football and be instinctive, and all those things are traits that are very important for us. And Andrew Barry's done a great job of, making sure that those were players we identified that have those traits, and the versatility of all the players. We always say the more you can do, the more role you have. So, and you earn that over time, but it starts with preparation and obviously learning the playbook, and then most importantly, going out on the field and earning the trust of the coaches and the quarterback that's in the huddle with you.
How far along do you think you guys are this year in terms of understanding really what Elijah Moore brings to this team? Because it felt like his role kind of evolved throughout last season. And I go back to that Jets game. Amari's a late scratch. We throw him in against what had been, if we were the best pass defense in the league, they were right there. I think they had 32 straight games without a 300-yard passer, Sauce Gardner, and he was a dominant number one receiver. Unfortunately, got injured in that one, but 16 a touchdown in the first half and looked great as that outside receiver. So how much further along are you guys kind of in your understanding of what he can do? And you mentioned man coverage. Amari, Judy, and Elijah, you get into the advanced metrics, are three of the best against man coverage in the league. That's nice.
Yeah, and that's something that's so, obviously it's so important to playing well offensively. But, second lap around the track, second year for Elijah. It's important that, we use our past experiences with what he does best and what he does well. And he does a lot of things really well.
I'm a big fan.
So, he is a player that I cannot tell you, this guy is one of the hardest working players I've ever coached. And I mean that. And I've, had the opportunity to coach some guys that were really grinders. This guy grinds as good as and hard as all of them.
Wow.
So that's one thing that people probably don't see. You see him on the practice field, but behind closed doors, this guy is as hard as working guys I've ever been around. He's very highly competitive. He really has a good way about himself that, in that way. And then just his skill set, he can do a lot for us, and I think that the more we know about him, the more we appreciate what he brings to the table from a skill set standpoint. And it's our job as coaches to get him in the right position and get him lined up and again, offset those other guys that are talented in very similar ways. So there's only one ball to be thrown on each play, but we have some guys that are good options for the quarterback.
Certainly. Defenses are going to have to, in some cases, pick their poison. Be like, okay, we're going to take away this, but then we've got this, and that's a good thing, especially with this offense and some of the structure and some of the freedom for your guys in their routes and their options and choices based on what they're seeing, which is an exciting thing, I think.
Yeah,
and they're excited about it. I know that.
It is. There's, whenever you can give a receiver opportunity to do a couple things on some routes and have some flexibility, I think it's very good. And then there's some things we ask them, hey, you're going to do it this way, and you're going to run 3 steps and hang a right or a left, and that's what's best for the team. So I think we have a good mix of those things where we're giving the receivers options to do different things and have some creativity and some flexibility. And then they know that there's some concepts and passes that require you just to be very detailed in the way in which we want it done. So our guys, again, being team guys, they don't go out of the box and do their own thing. They try to do it the way we want it done, and that's the one thing I can say about this group, and they're coachable.
So that's the top 3, and then you've got some young guys, who are looking really good as well. I feel like Cedric Tillman's taken a big leap from year 1 to year 2. Why is that? What has he done that maybe we don't see that's allowed him to be faster and more effective right now?
Yeah. Number one, Cedric's really benefited from some of our veteran football players just understanding how to be a professional on and off the field. I think that's where it started with Cedric. You're seeing a player that has worked so hard to get to the point that he is right now, and I'm seeing him. He's very confident. So when you're confident, you're playing fast. You're playing with the play strength that he has and playing to his size. So I think the confidence of what he's doing is so important for him right now. I'm seeing a confident player, one that again is really doing so many good things for us, and it starts with him just being coachable, working hard, and taking not only the coaching of our coaching staff, but listening to the veterans that are on this team that are such strong leaders to kind of guide him down the right path.
Yeah, and he's got that size-speed combination that's unique in our room. And, he was so productive in college, and there probably is a little – would you say, is it fair to say there's a little bit of an adjustment from what Tennessee was running to what a National Football League team would run for a receiver?
I think that's a great point. There's – with a lot of the colleges and the offenses, which I respect what they're doing schematically, but they're aligning the receivers maybe on one side and just putting them on one side and not asking them to do a lot from aligning in different formations or to have a different route tree, so their route trees are limited. So Ced has grown so much. I mean, he got here and now he has to learn different positions across the field, and he has to learn different tags, and the language is different. I mean, there was very little verbal communication within the offense, so much of their offense at Tennessee was nonverbal, so he had to learn how to communicate and how to listen. And, so many of those things, it's difficult, and there is a learning curve. But we're in year 2. I'm excited about Cedric's development. He's a fun guy to work with because he works so hard, and, his teammates respect that.
They certainly do. And then, we want to find out what a team or I guess his peers think of a receiver. If you ask the coaches and you ask the quarterbacks, and all they say is dependable, reliable, consistent, I think you already know what I'm going to talk about. David Bell, and it's unfortunate, we probably won't have him out here now, but he seems to have really taken some steps forward and is a favorite in-house for sure.
He has. I mean, unfortunate that he had an injury in this last preseason game, but this guy has not only proven over time that he's dependable, but he's doing so much for this football team. He plays well in the run game. He's a very good blocker. He can do a lot of things from a route tree perspective, and he knows what to do all the time. I can stick him in the game at any spot, any time in the game, and he's going to do it exactly right and be at the right depth and on the right timing, and that's what you want.
Yeah.
It's the word. His name starts with D, David, and it's dependable and detail. Those letters are the same for this guy.
And I know you like that, given your background.
And that's right. And I love this guy and what he stands for, and what a great example he is to our younger players on that's what needs to happen in the pass game for us to have success. We need detail. We need dependability. We need guys doing their job consistently every play. And I can't say enough of how hard he's worked. And I think he's really a valuable member to this team. I really do.
It's clear. It seems to be a pretty unanimous sentiment about David Bell, which is a great thing for him. And I really thought, the big touchdown against Jacksonville and then the game against Cincinnati, they were still playing their starters, and he went out there and had the best game of his career. And I think hopefully that was some confidence for him at this level as well.
Yeah, I think so. And there was, some plays last year that he made that, again, he made them because he's so detailed and he was so prepared for that moment. That he executed well under pressure, and that's what we ask our guys to do is like, hey, critical moments of the game, can we do things exactly as we were coached to do?
All right, real quickly on a couple of young guys, and we very much appreciate the time. Jamari Thrash leads the team in receiving against Green Bay, made a great catch on a heater from DTR on that when he bent it around the linebacker in that cover two. He seems to be a very good route runner as well. What have you seen from Jamari Thrash?
Yeah, Jamari Thrash is, he's an instinctive route runner. He has the ability to get open versus man and zone. I think he can play multiple spots, but he's another player like Cedric that played in an offense that just put him in one position and kind of limited on his route tree, even though they had a lot of success and he was well coached within that offense. But we're asking him to do a lot more from a formation standpoint. And I think he's really handled that well, and I think that's shown up, in the first game, and hopefully we'll see how he does versus the Vikings out there for some really good competition.
Coach, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
I'm going to end it with a selfish question. How's the workout regimen going? I know you lost your buddy a few years ago. How's that all going? You still look to be in tremendous condition.
Yeah, I picked another buddy up in Tommy Reese. He's,
okay.
He's now my workout partner, and we're doing good. I think we're on day 28. We got a consecutive streak going.
Okay.
So we need to continue on that, and it's going good.
All right. Well, we'll let you go get to day 29, Coach. Thanks so much for the time.
Thanks a lot.
Attention, Cleveland.
We're in break.
Game changer in town. Office Revolution specializes in transforming ordinary workspaces into extraordinary environments. Whether you need state-of-the-art phone booths, comfortable lounge meeting chairs, or versatile breakout areas, Office Revolution has got you covered. Imagine an office that inspires creativity, boosts productivity, and impresses clients. With Office Revolution, it's all possible. Elevate your space with innovative solutions and expert design services. Visit office-revolution.com today and see.
Does your furry friend have what it takes to beat out the competition? Enter the Dog Dash Sweepstakes presented by Milk Bone for a chance for your pup to compete in the annual halftime dog races. Visit clevelandbrowns.com/milkbone to enter and check out more from Milk Bone at your local grocer or pet supply store. The two teams on the two fields here at the Cross Country Mortgage campus. Browns on the far field, the east field away from us. The west field is where the Vikings are getting their work in. We start out with a little bit of special team stuff. Now they're doing a little bit of individual warm-up here. We have the Vikings receivers right in front of us, and the last two are quite good, 18 and 3. 18 goes last in the drill. He's good.
He's quite good, and in fact, as many would consider him to be the best receiver in the National Football League. Talking about Justin Jefferson, yeah, he has been very good. And then Jordan Addison, now take away the kind of off-the-field situation that surrounds him. I thought he was very good as a rookie. Obviously was one of those guys. He transferred in college, was kind of that highly recruited transfer portal, right? He goes to USC.
He went to USC. It was a money deal, and that it was he ended up there when he was the number one receiver, and Caleb won the Heisman.
Yeah, he had 70 catches, 911 yards, and 10 touchdowns as a rookie last season. Justin Jefferson in just 10 games had 68, 10, 74, and 5. They also had Hawkinson at 95, 960, and 5. I mean, they were a prolific team, certainly throwing the football.
Can I run something by? Oh, we should also update our availabilities. Denzel Ward is not dressed today, so you will not get what we were hoping for, which was
the main event.
The main event. That's not going to happen. Denzel is not involved for us. Obviously, Greg is not involved either. So MJ is obviously our top corner and one of the top corners in the league, and so he will be representing. But you will not get that strength on strength we were hoping for with Denzel against JJ.
And I'll be honest, I'm curious to see who will line up as the number 2 corner if we're in base. Just 2 out there. Does Cam Mitchell get that nod, or is that going to be Khalif Halasi? And then when we go into nickel, my guess is that Mitchell would be in the slot and that Halasi would be outside, or Tony Brown. But that's an interesting one. And again, I know it's better now than week 1 against the Cowboys, but you're going to be out there without 5 of your 11 starters on defense.
Yep.
No Za'Darius, no Dalvin, so 2 on the front. No Jordan Hicks, so 1 at that second level. And then if you're in your nickel, no Greg, or Denzel Ward. That's
right.
5 of your 11 starters. I mean, that
ain't good, buddy.
No, and it's, I think if all of these guys, Hicks, Greg, Za'Darius, Dalvin, if this was a game, they'd be out there. But and certainly Denzel. But that's not what it is. And then we see walking on the field now Jed Wills, who we have not even seen practice.
He's got
yet.
a tennis ball in his hand, though.
Well, we're looking for him to play tackle, not tennis.
Be the net boy at Wimbledon?
No,
we don't
very
need
big
that.
net man.
No, I mean he's got the sleeve on the leg and he's bouncing a tennis ball, but at some point he has to put on some pads, buddy.
He does, and Jack Conklin, I think is getting close, and so even just getting him out there, but he's going to need some reps. If he's working left tackle. Like DeJuan's the right tackle.
He played left tackle.
Michigan State.
Michigan State, right?
It's
been a while.
That's the answer. Michigan State is the last time that he played left tackle.
Yeah. So that's been a minute, and he's coming off of a significant injury that, I mean, common sense would say there must be some sort of flare-up that happened because nobody thought that he'd still be in this situation. So
of course,
who knows how this is going. But you don't have him. The one point I was going to make to you, and I'm curious your thoughts on it. I have said that for the most part,
yep.
At a very young age, you can see if you just had, like I had Bootsy's little CYO flag team practice last night. 10 kids run out. Within a couple of minutes, you can go, okay, that's a dude, you can tell.
Yep.
I contend that happens all the way through. If I did not know, if you didn't have any numbers on anybody out here, and you just watched 18 in purple, the way he carries himself, the way he walks, the way that he does the most remedial things,
yes,
I immediately say, I don't know who that is, but that's a dude.
That absolutely.
And I think that holds true.
I think it holds quite true. Yeah, there are guys even on the field of nothing but professionals, well, especially when they were at the 90s, but that totally stand out and are clearly a little bit different than perhaps some of the other players out there. And certainly number 18, Justin Jefferson, is one of those. He is as elite as it gets at one of the most important and highest compensated positions in the National Football League.
Yeah, it's sure, yeah. Yeah, sure. No, I think that's right. I think that's right. I don't know what's going on.
I just think we were disposing of something that contained a mess, and that there was maybe even some on the hand, and there was.
I missed that. I missed.
Yeah. Oh, it's in there.
Oh.
Yeah, we're moving that can down to the other side.
Yeah. Oh, we're getting some sand. Okay, we're getting a little sanitizer.
Is that what we did? As we went.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's
Oh yeah.
There's choices. There are choices being made, kids. Choices being made.
I had to watch the grandbaby for the first time a few weeks ago.
That's right.
Solo.
Oh man.
Everybody's like, "Oh, he's fine. He's already gone. He's done his business. You're good. You'll be good. You might have to do this a couple times."
Yeah.
I don't know. He gave birth to an alien. 20 minutes after everybody left. It was the worst. Hands in it. He's like, I'm trying to clean him.
Why are the hands in it, Gibby?
I'm trying to keep his hands away, and he just wants to and he's laughing the whole time. He thinks it's a game.
Well,
and I'm like,
just
this
give
is
him,
awful.
You got to give him a distraction.
Well,
give him something to
at this
hold,
point
and
now, I
then...
can't give him a phone.
No, not
because that's normally what I would do is just hand him a
Here,
phone.
Look at this.
Well, and he just looks at the main screen.
Sure,
he doesn't do anything.
I don't understand that world.
Well,
you.
How about it?
Well.
Hey!
Come on.
All right, we're going to take a quick timeout, and on the other
go.
side of it, we're going to get a lot of one-on-one work. It's going to be exciting. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. This is really cool. So in the near field to us, as your Cleveland Browns and the Minnesota Vikings have began the one-on-one portion, you have the Vikings quarterbacks and pass catchers against our secondary and safeties. On the far field from us, you have our offense versus their defense, and we have already seen some eye-opening things, my good friend.
Yeah, our defense started off very, very strongly right there. Nice coverage by Miles Harden for a breakup there of a pass intended for Trent Sherfield. He's got up a little size there to the 6'1" Sherfield. Spent some time with the Niners.
It's a great job seamlessly dropping a Trent Sherfield.
Oh yeah, well, Pedro. Pedro liked the Trent Sherfield. I think he followed. He went from the Niners to Miami with McDaniel, and now here in Minnesota, staying in that tree. But what we've seen is the start was M.J. Emerson on Justin Jefferson, got a PBU. Cam Mitchell, great coverage PBU. And then we had the third one. They threw an income. So they started. Sam Darnold was over 3 and 1-1s on the other side. Amari, big play to Elijah Moore as well. Akins just had a nice one. And, they did get Jordan Addison, went and made a big play, got past Khalif Alassi. But for the most part, in a one-on-one situation, they're certainly holding their own, are the Cleveland Browns. Landers working at the top. A nice little comeback route there.
He's got such good size that just
he does have good size.
So
Look at that, Cam Mitchell running that route, and that is a pick. Cam Mitchell ran that route working against Thayer Thomas out of NC State and takes it to the house.
I understand, and if you're just joining us, J.J. McCarthy out for the year.
Yeah.
Kevin O'Connell announced, hey, maybe you want to take a look at the Browns quarterback room this week.
Well, yeah, I have a feeling.
Given what's going on here,
Tyler Huntley is going to be on full display for them this week here.
Feels like it, yeah. Depending on what their objective is. It's one of those teams where the objective is interesting. Like, is this hey, we're trying to build something, but we could certainly take an off-road to tank. That might be in play too. You have to understand from an organizational standpoint. This is pretty bad.
Gracious.
Yeah, the lack of accuracy of the quarterbacks.
Vikings.
For sure, we don't want to speed this up.
This is awful. There's Amari.
There's a big one deep downfield.
Oh, had a step.
Yeah, Deshaun put that one more inside. He probably had him out. He did hit Chief on a big one over there as well in the last couple of minutes. So you're getting some good stuff here. And there's a DTR now back in, a pick from Minnesota on that side of things.
Good coverage there by Edmonds, the young undrafted free agent out of Arizona State. Right, I don't think they've completed a pass to their tight ends. On the other side, I've seen our tight ends catch a lot of passes.
Another one right there.
It's a team that's waiting for T.J. Hawkinson to come back. Obviously, they're not. That's not the same tight end room that they had certainly last year when he was in the mix for them.
You're going to get Jefferson here with Emerson on the near field right in front of us. So this is your
I'm sure he's
strength versus strength.
Lobbying to the officials and for a little bit of handsy.
Yep.
Delayed release on the outside, sells the vertical, hitches it up. Good coverage. Good route, good coverage.
Yeah.
Good route, good coverage,
he's
completion.
Something else as a route runner, isn't
well,
he?
he's scary when you open that up and you think he's going vertical. But MJ is actually in a really good spot on the vertical. He broke it off for a short little hitch and a nice completion. Jameis Winston, Jamari Thrash, easy, taking candy from a baby, working against – that was against Byron Murphy, who was a former first or second round pick out of Washington.
Yeah.
The
cool
Browns
to see
have
Delpit
some
work with against these receivers.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
He's really challenging himself daily.
There's the first one to a tight end over Brady Breeze. They got that one in there to Trey Knox, the rookie out of South Carolina.
You can watch it right now, youtube.com/Browns.
Yeah, I gave you a heads up on this.
There
man.
you go.
If you're able to.
All right, here's
this is the way to
Halassi
do
and
it.
Addison. Addison beat him vertically the first time. I mean, there's got to be 8 flags on that.
Little hands.
Khalif guy, he got called for a flag as well in the game, so you got to watch it. Jerry Jeudy, by the way, over there. Every time I look up, he's just running away from somebody with the football. He was working against a Caleb Evans there, number 2 corner, number 21.
You have to remember that Jerry Jeudy was in college what Justin Jefferson was.
He was a
as a
Blitnikoff
route
winner.
Right, and as a route,
Landers.
wow, he got him deep. Underthrown.
Oh, got to get the ball. Jameis doing a push-up after that one.
Yeah, had him.
That was the one-on-one for push-ups.
Yeah.
And Jameis had
However,
him.
they shouldn't be.
Well, there's a flag.
Officials threw 2 flags and said pass interference on defense.
And now they switch. Up are the Browns and down are the Vikings.
Down are the Vikes on that one.
How about it?
Push-ups at the end.
Landers. Attaboy, Landers.
Yeah, he got good separation on that.
Listen, like I said,
I think we were kind of bailed out. That was an underthrown ball, right?
It was an underthrown ball, but if he threw an accurate ball, it was a walk-in touchdown.
It was, yeah.
So I would say they feel like they were bailed out, but that they still get to play goal line defense, and we would say we were bailed out because it could have been an incompletion.
Absolutely.
It's a win-win. It's a sign of a good compromise. No one's happy.
That's right. So the team's getting a quick water break here. In the meantime, let me tell you, Browns fans, enter Cleveland Browns Stadium quicker on game day with Express Access presented by Verizon. Also new this year, select concession stands will offer Express Access presented by Bud Light. Enroll for free today. Go to the Tickets tab of the Browns mobile app to learn more. This is just all about making it easier for you when you enjoy your games down on the lake on a given Sunday, Monday, or Thursday, as it were. All right, so we had some one-on-one stuff on the outside that has taken place, and where are we going to get here now, Dr. Z?
This looks like
Let's
special teams.
Let's go to
special teams.
Gibbe, the scheduler.
I don't have this on my schedule.
You're right, Gibby.
I've got a couple focal points, but I see Vrabel running, and I feel like that's usually a special teams.
They're probably going to get some kickoff work, would be my guess here. And that's what it looks like. Yeah, Browns are set up for a kick return, the dynamic kickoff.
The question is, are the powers that be going to say that'll be enough of the video stream back to you guys?
Let's hope they just forget about it.
Nah, I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, let's see. We'll see. Right now, you're still enjoying it. You enjoyed all those one-on-ones if you're watching on the YouTube stream as well.
Boy, I got to tell you.
Jake.
What?
Jordan, I'm working on it.
Until somebody tells you to stop.
The thing to me that really stood out right there was just the inaccuracy of the quarterbacks of the Minnesota Vikings and the fact that our coverage teams were really all over their guys.
Yeah. It's when you have good to great quarterback play versus when you don't, it's apparent, obvious, glaring, all of the above.
I mean, they're just throwing right now on air to Josh McCown, and they're not even close. He's just standing there.
Yeah. No, it's it certainly is that way. The McCarthy thing is just
it's a devastator for them.
It's devastating. You rethink your whole season at that point. You're starting to question everything, I think, in terms of, all right, now
who are we?
What was
are we
our
trying
perspective,
to be?
and now
Right.
what are we trying to be? What are we hoping to get out of this season?
Yeah.
Like all of those things change,
Rapidly.
like that over the course of a weekend. And we don't know pre-existing. We have any idea, but that's the way that it all. Oh my God, boards are flying.
Oh, it's fine. It's very
Gibbe's
early
here.
in the process.
Gibbe's here.
Thanks, Gibbe.
Step on in. The great Jeremy Fowler, ESPN. Good to
What's
see
going
you,
on,
buddy.
man? Good to
Join
see
us
you.
here live on air. Good to see you. Yeah, just throw it on. Yeah, it's very casual. There he is. Hey, Jeremy, good to see you, man. Let's get get him rolling.
Live with you.
There it is. There
we go.
This looks like a Denny's menu / play sheet I'm looking at.
Oh, yeah, we're getting ready.
boards.
We're just getting ready for the for Saturday.
That
Big
is
board
impressive.
day.
Thank you. Not a lot of emphasis, obviously, on the starters. I don't think we're going to see that work here, but it's a big deal. Joint practice is now the Super Bowl, really, of the offseason.
Yeah.
We got Jeremy Fowler of ESPN out here. What did you come out today? What do you want to see? What are your what are the big storylines you're looking at?
Well, I'm here to catch up with people that I don't get to see during the season with both teams, but then also, I'm curious about both quarterback positions. I've heard Deshaun. The Browns have been pleased with his confidence that he's shown this offseason. I want to see it live. Sam Darnold, I want to see him live. I think he's got a chance to be a great story, maybe kind of like that Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith model where you get a career renaissance in year 6 or 7, And, some talent on both sides of the ball defensively, too. I'm curious to see the one-on-ones over here with the corners and the receivers.
That was fun.
Kind of were robbed of that with Denzel out because I was hoping to get fun to get Denzel against JJ would have been a fun one. And then, obviously we're robbed of JJ McCarthy. We're anticipating that get a chance to see him. Just talking around to some of the Viking folks around here, I would think that would just be devastating to your outlook of the season. How much has it changed for them?
So it's devastating in the sense that they were really high on him. They wanted him to get more reps. I was told he was going to get first-team reps today. So he was ascending a little bit, even though Sam Darnold was still the heavy favorite to start, and they really didn't want to play McCarthy this year. They wanted to be a redshirt year. So nothing really changes in that way. But he was really coming along nicely, and he was not afraid to fire the ball in small windows, to go deep. Like, they like his aggressiveness and his makeup and his talent. So they're bummed from that standpoint. But their plan really doesn't change a whole lot. They got Nick Mullins as the backup that they feel like, in a spot duty could get it done. So they're going to kind of roll what they have, I think.
Their season now, it just feels like, what are the Minnesota Vikings? And I would say a division that all of a sudden very competitive. You had the Lions were in the NFC Championship game. We saw Green Bay last week, and Jordan Love, the finish he had to the season. You got to think that's a playoff team. And then Chicago's all of a sudden loaded. Vikings, it's a new team. No more Kirk Cousins, no more Danielle Hunter. A lot of guys that were kind of staples of that organization are gone. What do you kind of make of kind of just their overall trajectory and what they could be this year?
Well, it's still a star power driven league for the most part. And you look on offense, they got 3 top 5 guys of their position, TJ Hawkinson, Justin Jefferson, and Christian Darrisaw left tackle. So like that to me, mixed with Kevin O'Connell, like I feel like they're going to be able to move the ball, which should put them in most games. It really depends on how the defense holds up. You know, Brian Flores did a solid job last year. They have a lot of the same pieces back. Pass rush should be a strength of the team. But there's still some unknowns with young players that haven't really developed yet, or they're trying to get the most out of. So it's kind of wait and see on that side of the ball, and wait and see on Sam Darnold too. So because of that, I'd probably put him sort of middle of the pack, maybe kind of that 9-8 type range, you know.
What's the story with Hawkinson? Because I've seen him. They're not sure really when he'll be back, and then you have potentially something lingering with Jordan Addison.
It sounds like he'll be back in the fold sooner than later. They're not putting a firm timetable on it, but he is ahead of schedule. It wouldn't be surprising if he started the year on the PUP list, or where they can bring him back after 4 weeks, just to give him some extra time. They have Johnny Mund, a tight end that they like, that's doing pretty well. Jordan Addison, I just saw him catch a deep ball over here, so it looks like things are going well. He's a guy that might be a number 1 receiver on some teams. So
Jeremy, we had a lot of fun this summer with your top 10 lists, where you talked to folks around the league, and those rankings come out. When you put those in the rear view and you say, here's something that I learned, here's something that I didn't think, the way the league perceives a player versus the way I did. What are some names that jump out there?
As far as Cleveland?
Cleveland first, and then around the league in general.
Yeah, so, Cleveland came in hot. Cleveland did so well in the top 10s that the Browns put out a graphic of all the top 10 players they had.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we liked it. Yeah, it was good.
So, like JOK, I would say. I knew he was a really good player, but he got a lot of respect. He's kind of an acquired taste, I would say, league-wide. Some think he's top 3, some think he's not top 10. But he gets enough high votes where he had probably a little bit of a higher ranking than I thought, just because he can run like a cornerback.
Yeah.
Just kind of has an exotic skill set. Denzel Ward was second.
Yep.
Like that's pretty big time. It was close, but he beat out Sauce Gardner. Like that's a pretty big deal. He had never gotten that kind of respect before. So that sticks out, I would say, those 2 in particular. Guys like Joel Bitonio are always going to be in the mix.
Miles.
Yeah, of
always
course.
in the mix.
I think Miles got like 75% of the votes. That was a little surprising, just considering you got Micah Parsons and T.J. Watt, guys like that.
Yeah.
So they got their studs for sure. Like they're well positioned. It's still a little surprising to see Deshaun Watson not really in the mix at all. I don't think he got a single vote. I know the way the last few years have gone, I understand it, but this is a guy that was top 5 not long ago.
Yep.
So I'm just fascinated to see if he can get that fastball back.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. Looks like we're about to get a little red zone, maybe. Or is that more midfield? They're maybe at the 40-30. Yeah. Looks like maybe a 7-on-7 period coming up on the 2 fields here with the closest to us, the Vikings against the Browns defense. Jim Schwartz out there. Yeah, one guy I wanted to ask you about, MJ Emerson. I don't know what this guy's got to do to get the recognition that I think he deserves.
Yeah.
29 pass breakups the last 2 years, 4 picks last year, was top 3 in completion percentage, quarterback rating allowed, touchdowns allowed. I hope that this year his profile gets elevated to where his play was.
I think so, and I did get a mention from somebody actually with the Browns to be like, hey, how did Emerson do in your project? Because they know he's good,
Yeah.
And I think he got a vote, but he's just not a household name yet. There's so many names out there at that position, but certainly he's the guy. In line with the Browns being proactive to pay players, he's probably the guy in the future I would see them trying to do that with.
What do you make of the North, Jeremy? This is where you make your hay. What primarily been around this region for a long time. What do you make of the 4 teams in the division?
Yeah, it really does feel pretty wide open to me. Like everybody is talented, but everybody's got something to prove or has a question mark.
Yeah.
Like Pittsburgh, obviously the quarterback position. Can they finally score some points? But it's a good roster. They have nearly everything else. The Bengals, they got a question mark with Jamar Chase right now.
Right.
T. Higgins, last year of his deal. Like, can Burrow make it work with, turmoil around him a little bit? And then, the Ravens are the Ravens. I'd probably put them the deepest right now, just based on what they did last year and what they have coming back and adding Derrick Henry, who it sounds like has been a really seamless fit. I had questions about that fit because he's been in a traditional I formation offense going into a shotgun-heavy offense, but apparently he's had no issue with that. He's picked it up fast. So, the Ravens are still the team to beat there based on having one of the most talented rosters in the league. And then, you got Cleveland that I expect to be firmly in the mix.
What do you make of on Baltimore? There were significant losses on the defensive side of the ball, not only personnel but coaching as well. What do you think that? Do they feel like that's just going to be kind of roll along as it always does?
Yeah, I mean, that's a bit of an unproven question mark for sure, because Mike McDonald was really, really good. You know, he just had a bang-up couple years there, got himself a head coaching job in Seattle. So he will be missed. You know, Zach Orr is a young coordinator that they just see as like a sort of ascending star coach, so they wanted to get ahead of it a little bit. They had a chance to hire other people, even internally, and they didn't, and went with him. So I think he just has leadership qualities that they like, and they're hoping that translates to another top 5 defense. But yeah, certainly, you know, pass rush has been come and go a little bit on the edge. You know, can they get enough there? That's still a question mark for me. But I think they're pretty still well intact, you know, assuming Mark Andrews can come back from that injury last year and be okay. I know he came back at the end of the year, but can he be himself again is a big thing. Because as much as Lamar has come along as a passer, he still needs that Andrews connection. You know, he's not the most accurate quarterback just based on what the numbers say. He needs that big catch radius, and he needs Andrews to have a big year.
Yeah, certainly does. Talking to the great Jeremy Fowler, ESPN, joining us here live as the two teams working some 7-on-7 stuff here. Browns defense versus Vikings offense in the near field, and then our offense versus the Vikings defense on the far field over there.
I saw Darnold throw a nice seam touchdown to one of the tight ends, and then the Browns defense kind of after that got together. Jim Schwartz was not pleased. And on the other side, I've seen a lot of the ball out quickly and completions from Deshaun Watson to some of the running backs, and Elijah Moore and Jerry Jeudy as well. So it seems like it's off to a pretty good start. They just kind of swapped out now the 1s and the 2s on both of these. They go back to that seam ball, and this time the Browns break it up there. Chris Edmonds. And Coach Bonda likes that kid out of Arizona State.
He does,
he's got a little something to him. At 11 picks in college, 3 last year. So fun stuff. Do you like watching these? I mean, to me, these are these more compelling to you than going to a preseason game?
That's a good question. I would say as far as like, it depends on what you're looking for, right? Like if you just want a complete body of work and you can sit in a press box and watch the whole game, I could probably digest a little more. But these, you know, like the access to, you know, personnel people and coaches and people I can run into and understand the game better by talking to them, like I value that personally more than going to a game. So sometimes I might miss some things on the field because I'm busy talking to people, but that's just, in my role, that's more important to me. But if you can get really up close to the action, you can't beat that, right? Like, see how close the quarterback is here in the red jersey. He's not far from us at all. So that's always really cool. That's better than game action. It does all blend together a little bit in practices.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot going on, and they don't hit, really. Right. You know, they're just trying to get out of here with no injuries, no fights, right? So the action is always a little watered down, which sometimes gets, you know, a little monotonous after 2 hours.
Yeah, certainly can. Jeremy, great seeing you, man. Thanks for dropping
thanks,
by.
guys. Appreciate you having
Jeremy Fowler, ESPN, joining us here live on location at the Cross Country Mortgage Campus. Browns and Vikings joint practices underway. So much more to come on that as we continue. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, joint practice continue between the Browns and the Vikings. Now we have some 11-on-11, so our defense right in front of us, Sam Darnold and the Vikings offense. Justin Jefferson lined up opposite MJ Emerson. A little give right up the middle there on that front. Blown up by one of the stars so far of this camp, my friend.
Yeah, Devin Bush has been phenomenal, and you listen to Coach Jason Tarver talk about him and how, this was a new system for him to learn, and it's kind of like for JOK. Devin Bush is a guy who can run and is quick and decisive in space, and now that he's kind of got it down, he is playing very well. But you mentioned heavyweight fight. Myles Garrett, Christian Darrisaw is a heavyweight fight that we're seeing right now coming off of that blind side of Sam Darnold's.
Yeah, that's happening right here. On the far field, our offense is going against their defense. I did see a Deshaun completion to get it started. But, again, more work to be done on this side of things. Devin Bush was a dude before the injury.
Yeah, 109 tackles his rookie year.
Yeah, so
it was an injury suffered against the Cleveland Browns. It was Week 5 of 2020, ACL, and then he was still a starter for the Steelers for the 2 seasons.
Oh,
hey,
come on.
Come on.
Yes. The voice. We're all better for it.
We are all better for it.
Showed up
no doubt.
Great to see the great voice. So some good work here. Here's Darnold. Ooh, Miles.
Justin Jefferson over the middle. Miles was right there.
That
would have been
there. That was a hell of a swim move out of 95 around Darrisaw on that one.
I mean, Darrisaw is one of the best left tackles in the game, and Miles is in a couple of plays made it look pretty easy, but that's what he does there. That would have been a huge collision at the quarterback, and then that would have been a huge collision because that ball was over the middle to Justin Jefferson high, and he would have been rather exposed right there in the middle of the field. But both of these teams taking good care of each other so far in the early go, and you certainly can see that, especially on that last play.
Yeah, for sure.
Nowhere to go. Obo Okoronkwo right there filling the hole.
Miles is so damn good.
Yep.
Like just how quick. It's stunning stuff. He'll substitute out now, so maybe Minnesota can try to get something going operationally. Trying to keep an eye on what's going on the far end there.
I've seen about 3 straight quick completions from Deshaun Watson. Ball out very quickly and, decisively. And I think part of it is they're, dealing with the reality of what they've got, at left tackle. But you got to push the ball down the field at some point, and certainly I know that they will. There's a classic little fake toss roll, Jefferson on the middle there in the low, mid, high kind of route concept where they flood the side. And Justin Jefferson, his ability to get open, he just looks so smooth.
He's so smooth, dude.
Everything's very effortless.
Yeah, he's a kind of a creative player, as smooth as he is on this side. Little run shot.
Funny you say that.
On the other side.
Creative player, that's what Joe Hayden said Grant Delpit looks like in pads. He's like, he really just looks like a creative player.
He does.
Like, that's exactly what you'd want to look like.
Yeah. All right, the next level is coming up next. We're back tomorrow for more pictures from the Vikings and the Browns. We sure did enjoy this. Hope you did as well. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.